Hello and welcome to The Rest is Football with Alan Shearer, Scrooge and me, Gary Lineker. We hope you all had a wonderful Christmas, celebrating with friends and family, eating plenty of good food and enjoying enough drinks to make you just a little bit merry, and hopefully no one went near Micah's fridge. How was your Christmas, Micah? I've seen Alan Boxing Day, but I haven't seen you.
Oh, this is our first pod since Christmas, isn't it? Christmas was okay. It was low-key.
Was that the day you pulled out ill?
Oh, hold on. Oh, by the way, can we talk about Gary's voice on Boxing Day? I thought it was Sean Dyche, by the way.
Well, hey, a bit sexy, wasn't it?
Hey, the only reason Gary turned up for Match of the Day was to make sure that everyone laughed at you for missing Match of the Day with the same thing. There's no way he could have pulled out after giving you some stick, and then he had it pulled out on Boxing Day. So he was turning up come hell or whatever it was. He was turning up.
I was in bad nick. I was in a bad way though, wasn't I, guys? I was
So
coughing.
was I.
It wasn't just a sore throat. I was coughing up phlegm. I was ill. I had a temperature.
Do you want to tell us the truth now? Did you have too much drink or not?
Al, you know more than anyone. I can handle my drink. Do you remember the summer? The Euros? Negronied up with a little bit of Guinness? Oh, of course.
Well, you're back now. You're back to
I'm
good
back.
health.
Look, can you not feel the energy through your screens?
Some of us, Alan, are old school warriors.
Absolutely. We turn up, guys. We turned up on Boxing Day, no problem.
How was you guys' Christmas? And I have to say, mine was nice and quiet. Just a few family members came over. People were respectful, and we had a great time. So, yes.
I bet you terrified them going anywhere near your fridge or anything, didn't you?
I mean, you should have seen me there when, as soon as someone got up out the chair, I just ever so slightly turned my chair to see what there was going in the fridge for. And everyone was just like, am I all right to get a drink? I'm like, yeah, don't worry about it.
The fucking Grinch again. He's off, look, he's off.
The Grinch.
I bet they were petrified coming to your house on Christmas Day after what they heard you say.
But why don't they invite me to their? Why do you got to come to my house, eating my food, drinking my drinks? Why is it just a must? People must come to my house. I don't like people, you know that.
Dear.
Brilliant.
Well, we did Match of the
Fabulous.
Day, of which the highlight was when I arrived and I said hi to everyone, and Rich, the editor, went to greet me and fell flat on his back in his chair. The chair went backwards. It was priceless. I've got a picture. I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you.
He got a lot of sympathy, didn't he?
Oh, yeah, absolutely zero. As you might expect.
He fell off his chair backwards.
It was
so funny.
It's been a good Christmas for Liverpool. I mean,
That's it.
they beat Leicester coming from behind, as you would expect at home. And, well, we've just watched we're doing this on Sunday afternoon, or evening, obviously now, just after the West Ham-Liverpool game, and they were very impressive again. Big lead now. Nottingham Forest are in second place at the moment,
Wow.
which is an extraordinary effort, which we'll come to their game shortly. But I honestly cannot see anyone getting near Liverpool. Can you, really, realistically?
Before we start, can I ask you a question? Because we all know my thoughts on Mo Salah. What would you do with the contract situation now?
Within reason, obviously, they've got to do everything that they possibly can to keep him. But you can't just say, oh, we'll give you whatever you want, because he'll come back with something that, bankrupt the football club. I'm sure he wouldn't, but you know what I mean? It's easy to say, give him what he wants, but depends what he wants.
Okay, would you put him in a lane of his own?
Yeah.
Probably already is.
Probably already is. He probably already is. So he's going to have to go into the hard shoulder on his own. My guess would be that he will. I would be more than confident that both him and Big Virgil will sign extensions. I'm not so sure about Trent, but the other two, I would be more than confident they would sign new deals. But yeah, he would have to be in a lane of his own, Mo Salah. Yeah.
The Spanish press were reporting today that they understand that Trent Alexander-Arnold has agreed to go to Real Madrid. Now, obviously, if you're end of contract, you can start negotiations in January. It's not quite January, but they're usually pretty accurate over there on things like that, particularly with Real Madrid. It seems to make a lot of sense to me. Free transfer, that's in many ways how Real Madrid have done their business recently. Obviously, they did a similar thing with Mbappe. He's really close with Jude Bellingham. We saw that a lot during the summer. He's a wonderful, wonderful footballer. There's no question about that. He would fit in there beautifully. I think he'd be a massive success. They wouldn't focus on his defending critically like we do perhaps over here, overly so in my opinion. It's a great fit. It'd be a huge loss for Liverpool, but it is a position where they've got a youngster coming through that's done really well in that position when he's come in. Although they would want to keep him because he's going on a free, and that's not ideal for Liverpool. But if I were a player now, if you were a footballer now, and you were that sort of level, you would see your contract through, wouldn't you? Because if a club can buy you for, say, let's say, for example, 50 million. If you're at the end of the contract, the club doesn't have to pay that. Now, they're not going to give it all to you, but you're in a much better negotiating position in terms of a business decision, particularly if you're going to go to one of the big clubs anyway. So I think that's highly likely that will happen. I mean, I've got no inside information on this whatsoever, but...
The only thing with that, do you remember Victor Valdez at Barcelona, where he ran his contract down, and he, at the time, he was probably top 3 goalkeepers in world football. He went to, I think he went on loan to Man United and then Standard Liège and ended up at Middlesbrough. So it can happen.
God, how did you know that off the top of your head?
You've just got to be careful with that. I think an ideal scenario would have been Trent would have been bought 18 months ago for 100 million. Liverpool get loads of money for him. He gets to go to Real Madrid. I want whatever's best for Trent, but it does feel weird him going on a free in the prime of his career. But I totally agree with you, Gaz. I think you would do that as a modern day player. I totally agree.
Be mad not
That's
to.
not his fault. The rules or the laws of the game. He's entitled to do that, and I get that it may be a little bit harder because of the Liverpool connection and the local boy and everything else. I totally understand that. But he's won everything at Liverpool, hasn't he?
Yeah. It's a fresh challenge. How do you say no to Real Madrid?
If it is going to happen, which it looks likely, as I would say to everyone, put yourself in Trent's position after achieving what he has done at Liverpool, the dream that he's had, and then to go on and be asked to play for Real Madrid, which is what it looks like, then on and to go and make an absolute fortune as well because of the rules in football, then you can't knock him for that at all.
And playing there, I know Liverpool's, it's an incredible football club. It really is.
Yeah.
But a fresh challenge, playing abroad.
Yeah,
I did it myself, and it's playing for either Real Madrid or Barcelona is something truly special. It's where even to this day now, however strong and powerful and rich the Premier League is, the world's greats go still to Barcelona and Real Madrid. You'd probably say the only exception in recent times would be Haaland, where everybody probably wanted him. Yeah. But that aside, that's where they go. And he'll love it there. It'll be amazing. They'll worship him. They'll appreciate his incredible passing range. I mean, we saw it again today. A couple of the balls he hit. I mean,
and by the way, I think he looked at this season. He's probably been better than he's ever been. He's getting better, isn't he?
Well, he's in the prime of his career, Alan.
He's been unbelievable this season.
Yeah, I mean, he's a great player, and I wouldn't begrudge him at all. I mean, you know what football fans are like, and understandably so. It's their football club. It's the most important thing in the world to them, and they'll probably find it difficult to accept a player leaving that's they consider one of their own. He is obviously, similar to Michael Owen when he left. I don't think he was ever forgiven. I think Steven Gerrard eventually decided he wouldn't, but that's he was possibly leaving for Chelsea, another Premier League club, whereas it's different for, if Real Madrid come calling.
Well, you played with Steve McManaman. I did at the latter part of his career, Alan. How did he find that move? He went on a free, if I remember correctly, to Real Madrid, did he?
I don't think if you asked him if he had all the same decisions to make, I think he'd probably make the same. Don't you? I think with what he's achieved in his career and
what he achieved at Real Madrid.
What he
Champions
achieved
League.
at Real Madrid.
Two
and,
Champions Leagues, wasn't it?
So, look, as I'd said, if you ask everyone to be honest, even the hardest Liverpool fans, after he's played for Liverpool for so long, I know he was Liverpool as part of who he is, but he's won everything there, and I'm pretty sure that the I don't know, hard feelings. I hope not, because he's been a great player for them and he's helped them had unbelievable success.
Totally agree on that. They're unstoppable now, aren't they, Liverpool?
Yeah, they're brilliant. They're so strong. We keep saying it every single week. The energy, every position, even the players they bring on. It's like, goodness me. They've got so many options. Gomez has gone off injured, I know, so that may be a slight worry for them. But they're really, really strong, and it's hard to look at anything else but Liverpool. And it's theirs to chuck away.
We talked about Trent, didn't we? And we talked about Salah. But Van Dijk, oh my.
What a footballer.
What a player he is. And yes, he's good on the ball. Yes, he's tall and he's strong. But he's effortless. Everything that he does. If you watch his positioning, he's
so intelligent, isn't it?
He's always in the right position. Yes, I don't like the sometimes thing that he does when he's sort of defending and the ball goes behind him and he just sort of sticks out his back leg. That's the only part of his game that I look at and think, you don't really need to do that. But everything else, he's spot on. He's one of the Premier League greats. We're talking top line defender. And yes, the argument would be there's not that many top number 9s, but he's still got to adjust to people playing, a 4-3-3, when to step out, when to drop off, when to engage. He's got everything. I mean, his contract situation needs sorting out as well. I think it will be, but just watching him in every game, he's a delight to watch. He really is.
Yeah, I mean, this will rumble on until somebody signs something for someone, won't it, with those 3 players. Mo Salah today became the first player, by the way, to score and assist in 8 different Premier League games in a season. And we're only halfway through, almost halfway through.
Really? Wow.
Which is quite the achievement. I mean, they gave him a lot of space, though, today. I mean,
just a bit.
West Ham's, I don't know, they did disorganised, weren't they? Yeah. I mean, defensively, I know they're difficult to play against Liverpool, but I mean, they just folded quite comfortably, didn't they? It was like, off you go then. We'll accept this.
As soon as Liverpool got their first goal, it was like, how many is this going to be? Didn't ever see any hope of any comeback whatsoever.
Yeah, but when you go into a play at 4 at the back and then you play a 5 at the back, the reason why you have the 5th member at the back is to stop the space down the width of the pitch. But Salah had so much space. And yes, tactically, you can look at what Liverpool did. But if you just stay at 5 in the back and just stay in your position, make it very difficult for the opponent to break you down. They just all went inside and left space for Salah. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Salah could have scored probably 5 goals today. He had a few chances, didn't he? Just hit a few. But I think it's Salah's intelligence as well. We talk about his dribbling and his finishing and his work rate and his mindset. But his movement is one of the best I've ever seen in the Premier League. He times his run perfectly every single time. He's just on the cusp of being offside, but he manages to stay in line with the last defender. It's amazing to watch.
Yeah, you talk about his nous there, Micah, and I think that was summed up with the goal down the right-hand side where he knew that he was marginally offside and left the ball. He kind of sensed it whereas a lot of players would have just gone on and carried that. So he left it, didn't he? And then eventually it came to him, and he did. I think that was the one where he did the amazing assist, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Which was an incredible bit of play. But you're absolutely right. His footballing intelligence is something to behold. It really. I love watching him play.
Yeah,
I love the fact that he plays with a smile on his face. And to be perfectly honest, if you played like him in a team like that, you would have a smile on your face. But even when he misses chances, he accepts it and doesn't let it bother him. And that's really important for someone that scores a lot of goals, Alan.
He's an unbelievable talent, and keep seeing it. Premier League great, and he's got a while left. There's no doubt about it.
Their closest challengers are now Nottingham Forest. Who would have thunk it? Comfortable 2-0 win away. I mean, obviously, only 2 of the games were on today, but you can see the highlights, and we've watched all the highlights and the goals. And Chris Wood, I have to say, Chris Wood, and not that I've been critical of him in the past, but I must say I misjudged, the quality of the player. He's a better footballer, and than I actually thought he was originally. I don't mind owning that. He's done really well. And you're talking about intelligence. He makes the best of his assets with his movement. And he's goal and an assist today. Lovely little finish. Have you seen
Great finish,
lobbed it over the keeper there, over Pickford as he came out?
I had him in my team as well, Gaz.
I could tell that with a smile on your face when I was talking. You've had a good day.
I've had a great day. Let's not talk. It's not about me, though. Let's talk about Chris Wood.
Chris Wood's having this season of his life. It's just unbelievable. And they play to his strengths, which is really important as a centre forward. But Everton played Arsenal, Chelsea and City and conceded 1 goal to City on the 3 games. And Forest have gone to Everton and scored a couple of goals and won and been impressive again. It doesn't look as if they're going to stop, does it, this season, Forest? It's like they're just going to go on and on and on and just keep getting the results and playing really good football and looking very impressive. So
I said it before, they remind me a little bit of that Leicester season. They're not going to win the league because, Liverpool, in the season that Leicester went and did their stuff, a lot of the big clubs were in transition. But there's a similarity. They don't mind not having the ball. Yep. They counter really quick, and they've got some quality individual players in there, and they're difficult to score against. I think the problem perhaps that Everton had, they know what they're doing when they're playing against a really good team. They'll just sit, and they'll try and get a clean sheet. If they're playing another side like Forest, who also like to play on the counter, they have to come out a little bit, and they got exposed on the counter-attack, which they would never do against a Chelsea or Arsenal and or whoever else they played. So I think that therein perhaps lies Everton's problems, and they'll continue to find life difficult in the Premier League because they just don't score many goals, which has to be a concern.
Yeah, I've got some good players though, Everton, you know who's really impressed me in the last couple of weeks? Mangala at midfield, and Ndai. It's just the final bit with Ndai now. He looks really good, gets on the ball, he's got a drop of his shoulder. I know he scored that wonderful goal against Manchester City, wasn't it? But there was opportunities in the game today. If he would just play the right pass at the right moment, then there could be a better team going forward. I don't think Everton, when you look at them, are just like what you expect, just defensive, and they do the defensive stuff really well, but also in transition with Harrison and Ndai, they're actually better going forward. They're just up top. When they get that chance, they just don't take it, and then they're on the back foot again.
Yeah, agreed.
Let's talk about my team, Leicester City. I knew that it was guaranteed that if you want to play someone that's going to get you out of a hole, it would be Leicester. Although, to be perfectly honest, I thought Leicester played well, and I was encouraged. All right, the ambassadors cheering in the background.
City are back! City are back!
Do you think so, though? I watched that game.
I don't think so.
In the second half, Leicester, so many chances, Leicester a bit unlucky at the woodwork. Vardy could have had a couple of goals on another day. He would have done. There was one where he probably should have gone with his head when he went with his foot and he knocked it over the bar from 4 yards out. I thought Leicester played some really good. I was actually encouraged by Leicester's performance.
Yeah.
Really like El Khanous in midfield. I think he's come on since the start. The last few games I've watched him.
I did analysis on BBC on Match of the Day about 3 weeks ago.
You did?
Just to let you know, guys.
Yeah, he was really good. And that link up he had with Buonanotte and Winks behind them, and I thought Leicester were quite creative. They're really struggling at the back though. We've got 1 or 2 injuries there, particularly the goalkeeper's important to Leicester as well. But Man City back to winning ways. I'm not sure they were anywhere near back to their best though. Alan, do you think?
The rut that they're in, they probably think it doesn't really matter how they play. They just needed to get the win and the 3 points and hope that it does something for their confidence. But no, I wouldn't be convinced that they're back. They were far too open again, and Leicester, bearing in mind where Leicester are this season, how many chances they created against them, it still would be a concern of mine. And good win for them. That's all that matters for City, because try and pick up a little bit, but not convinced they're back. No, definitely not. Are you, Micah?
I wouldn't say I'm convinced at the back. The only thing I would say is, you said it right, they got the result, they got the clean sheet. And I know Leicester should have scored, but when you're going through a bad time and you want to cling on to something positive throughout the game. So Haaland scores. It was, he's not been in the best form, and he get a clean sheet. It's almost like in the Champions League, 3-0 up, and then they concede 3. They've gone up, I think they've dropped 12 points from winning positions this season.
Could easily have happened again.
Yeah, it could, but it didn't. That's the thing. So when you played football, you're just looking for something to hold on to. Yeah. And I think as a defender, you can say, okay, we've had a clean sheet. We've not played brilliantly well. We've got the result, and let's try build from here now.
McAtee did well when he came on, didn't he?
He did. Yeah, he did.
He's a good player, though. He's a good player, he is.
Yeah.
The one thing I would say about City, though, is that, and the difference, even though they won today, and they'll be pleased, and I totally agree with everything you say, psychologically very important for them. But I would say the energy that we've seen in Pep's sides year after year after year, and even at the start of this season, it seems to have ebbed away, and they look like it all, the amount of football they've played over the last few years, the amount of success they've had, the amount of that takes out of you probably mentally to maintain that. But that aggressive nature of the press is it's not just slightly below where they were, it's almost non-existent.
That's what I would say in terms of belief and confidence. You can still do the hard run, and the pressing and what have you, and your touch might be off, your finishing might be off, you might not be playing well, but that doesn't stop you from doing the bits that people might not perhaps see in terms of the closing down and all of those things. Yet that wasn't. They looked absolutely knackered, don't they? In so many areas of the pitch, and that would be the big concern. Yeah.
I think he almost intimated that after the game. Pep, in his interview, he wasn't, overly thrilled. He didn't. You could tell he didn't love the performance, and I think he said we just didn't have the energy. And that's one thing you can't coach, is energy. If you've got all, normally in football, don't you get 2 or 3 players get tired at a certain period, but when you get a lot at the same time, and you have to take into account the amount of football that they've played over the last 3-4 years, it can catch up on you in the end. And also, don't forget, it's not quite as exciting when you're not at the top of the league.
Correct, yeah.
So it does make a difference, understandably, in some ways. It'd be interesting to see if they can bounce back and perhaps get 1 or 2 of their players that have been out for a little while that have come back fresh and
who if they can sign anyone in January as well.
Yeah, very true. We'll find out. We'll see what happens. Let's take a break there, and then we'll come back and discuss the other games that were played today. Welcome back to the Rest is Football with Micah Richards, Alan Shearer and me, Gary Lineker. There are a number of games today. They weren't all televised, of course, but they'll all be on Match of the Day. Kelly Summers is doing it, isn't it? It's the first one tonight. So
I hope she deserves a chance. She was excellent in the Euros.
She does, yeah. Oh, she's really good. I like Kelly a lot, and she's very much a football reporter, person, commentator, broadcaster, etc. So we wish her well, but it would have already happened, even though it's before.
She'll do well,
if you know what I mean. She'll be great. And those games will include Spurs, who came from behind against Wolves, got ahead, and then let in a kind of sucker punch in the 94th minute or something like that. So more frustration for Tottenham's fans.
Yeah, and they were booed off as well, weren't they? So you can understand the frustration at Spurs. And I mean, the results, if the results go against them, they couldn't end up in, 14th or something like that, which for Spurs and where they want to be and how much they've spent and all of those things. I get that they've got goalkeeper out injured and 2 centre-halves, but they still had, I think, Porro, Udogie, Dragusin, which they paid big money for. So yeah, it's really, really poor at the minute there, and the pressure's right on Ange.
Yeah, it's tough, isn't it? Because when Ange first came to the club, I was so excited to see what he could do. I still believe in what he's trying to do, but football, it's results business, isn't it? I think he's been very unlucky. I think Archie Gray as well, having to play centre-half when he's a midfielder or he's played right-back at Leeds, it's always going to be difficult. It really is, but it's just the way that they're losing at times. And it's very hard to have a pop at a manager because I agree with the way he wants to play football. And I don't like the word naive, but I think at times he could just tweak certain aspects to how they play, where they could get, positive results, but they just don't do it. The concentration is not good enough, and a manager can only play, or a manager can only put out a side that he believes is best to win the game. But sometimes the players have to take responsibility, and at this moment in time, I don't think there's enough leaders out there just dragging them through games, and ultimately, it's just leading to poor results.
Yeah, I mean, I defended to the hilt Ange Postecoglou because I love the way his teams play, and you always get goals and it's always entertaining. Now, I understand that, like you said, it's a results-driven business, and if you're 13th, 14th in the league table, that's unsatisfactory for supporters. But I'm also a person that is fairly neutral watching football matches, even though I was at Spurs and I want them to do well because I love the football club and I love being there and it's great. But I do want to watch them play, and that is an important thing in football. And I do think if they can get... Romero and Van der Ven had a really good relationship, and it's such a shame that they've both been out so frequently, because when they play, they're a different side, because they need that pace, obviously, when they play so high up the pitch. It's a brave form of football, but it's a football I like. So I hope he gets a bit more time, because Spurs tried that before, didn't they? They had Conte and they had Mourinho, who play, let's say, a much more cagey game of football, and the fans didn't enjoy it, and the results were probably marginally better at present. Although Ange didn't do badly in his in the end. He had a great start, didn't he, last season? They kind of petered out a little bit, but yeah, I suppose that the answer really is a little bit in the middle, isn't it? Have a little bit more of the caginess of Mourinho and Conte with the gung-ho nature of Ange Postecoglou's football. If you could just kind of use a little bit of one and a lot of the attacking side, it's like you say, Micah, just make little tweaks. And who knows, he might have been trying and it's not quite worked. But I hope I hope they stick with him, and I hope he turns it round. But obviously he's going to need some results fairly quickly.
I think the next two are massive, aren't they? I think off the top of my head, they've got Newcastle at home, and then they've got Liverpool, I think, in the Carabao semi-final.
Of course, first leg.
So those two games. are huge, and Newcastle's at Spurs as well. So that's a massive game.
Particularly probably the cup game, because it's been so long since Spurs have won something. If he could, I mean, it's hard to see him getting past Liverpool. The only thing I would say is that Liverpool will probably rest quite a few. I know that sounds mad in a semi-final, but there's Champions League games coming up. Although they're in pretty good shape there, but with them being so far ahead in the league, that will take absolute priority for Liverpool. So I'd be surprised if they didn't mix it up a little bit, which might help the chances of Spurs.
Even some of the Liverpool squad players now are really, really good
Very
players.
true.
You see them, who they're bringing on today, and I don't know, Harvey Elliott or Tsimikas or whoever it may be, and goalkeeper Kelleher will come in or whatever. It's like they've got some Diogo Jota. So they've got some really talented players who are ready to come in as well. So it's going to be a tough ask for them. But those two games are massively important.
As a Spurs, I don't want to say fan because you've played for a couple of clubs, Gary, but if they were to finish 10th but win the League Cup, how would you feel with that for this season, knowing that the football you're trying to play, the injuries that you've had, and then going on to next season thinking, okay, we can take a little bit of positivity from that?
I think given the injuries that they have had, and given the fact that most of the time you'll go to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and see an entertaining game, and I would definitely take that over not winning the Carabao Cup and finishing 6th. Yeah. That's how I would think. Getting into the Champions League is obviously a different thing. That's another level. That's what everybody wants to do now, particularly perhaps with this new format. So,
if you're asking me from a Newcastle point of view, I'd rather finish 4th bottom and win the Carabao Cup any day. Give me any trophy.
Totally agree with that.
I mean, this bollocks about finishing in the top 4 so you can play Champions League football, but not with trophy any day.
Micah's reaching back for a trophy as we speak. What is that?
Talking of League Cups,
He's got,
look at that.
there's one
Feast your
there.
eyes on that bad boy.
Who won you that one?
I think this was Yaya Toure, this one. The Yaya Toure Cup.
It's a nice little replica, That's a lovely little replica.
Yeah, look, 2013, 2014. Look at that.
Where's yours? No, you got one of those? Oh, no. You need to get a replica of the Premier League, though, Alan. Spare your blushes there. For Wolves, though, massive goal to get that equaliser at the end.
Yeah,
Strand Larsen, because they've had a good bounce, haven't they, with the new manager coming in there. So that just keeps that going. That's a great point for them, isn't it?
2 wins and a draw is a great start for the manager. Yeah. Absolutely fantastic.
Producer John totally agrees. I think I can just sense him in the background there. Just sense him thinking that, 2 wins and a draw from Vitor Pereira's first 3 games in charge. That's just what you need. That hasn't happened. Well, it hasn't happened at Southampton, the other side. And we had a tiny bounce at Leicester when he came in. But it's been a bit of a struggle since. So it's really important that you get that.
The only thing I will say, though, Cunha, who's been exceptional for them over the last month or so, he came off injured. I don't know, there's something going on with a potential ban or whatever, so it might not be the worst time, but in terms of what they've got going forward, he would be a massive miss.
He's absolutely
very good player,
crucial for them, isn't he? He's such a good footballer. Let's move on to 2 teams that have performed so well in the first half of the season that met today at Craven Cottage and shared the spoils actually in a 2-2 draw. Fulham and Bournemouth, both really well coached, aren't they?
Absolutely. No, I think, I'll talk about Fulham, Micah, you can take Bournemouth, but I think the recruitment at Fulham played some really good football, got some excellent players in there. And anyone going up against Fulham nowadays know that's going to be a really, really tough game. So, they're having a really good season.
Bournemouth, I just want to apologise to Bournemouth fans. I had you going down at the start of the season.
It's not quite as bad as Forest.
I was going to bring that up before, but I thought I'd leave you.
Yeah. Do you know what we've got coming up? We did an interview the other day, didn't we, with Morgan Rogers, Micah and I. Alan, you were doing the Arsenal game for Amazon Prime. And I must say that's coming out, I think, on Wednesday. And please do have a listen. What an incredibly articulate, intelligent, confident, without being arrogant in any way. I was so impressed, Micah. Were you?
I couldn't believe he was only 22. We talk about players after they retire, what they're going to do. He could be anything he wants to be. He's so articulate. He knows the game. He knows the tactics. Like you said, he's full of confidence. I was so impressed with him.
Yeah, me too. I was leading on there to saying the episode coming out on Friday, we're going to, as we did last season, review our predictions after halfway down the season. Can I leave you to that one? Because
I didn't know you, Micah, had put Bournemouth to be relegated. Wow. That's very honest of you, because it would have come. That's why you've just brought it out, because you knew it was going to come out.
I'm dreading it. I'm absolutely.
But they have to be brilliant, haven't they? Semenyo's been excellent.
Edenilson, I really like up front.
Brooks, he's been coming off the bench and then he started making a massive impact. We know the struggles that he's had to come back into the team and then perform at this level is amazing. Christie, Edenilson, who you mentioned, Gaz, who we didn't know too much about. How would he fare in this league? He's done really well. Even Ariga Zabalaga. How do you pronounce it?
Aretha Balaga.
Aretha Balaga.
Very good, Al. Very good.
I'm not going to you for fucking Spanish lessons, Al. Leave that to Gaz.
I was hoping he'd get it all wrong.
Gaz, are you letting him get away with that nonsense?
That was all right, wasn't it, Gaz?
That sounded really good, though, to me.
Aretha Balaga.
Very good.
Tell you who they've got as well, by the way, Gaz. We mentioned them, didn't we?
We were talking about him earlier. Huijsen, or Huijsen, I don't know how you say it exactly, but he's a youngster that I think he's he was at Juventus, I think, wasn't he? And I think Bournemouth have taken him, and I think there's a lot of eyes on him from big clubs around Europe, including Real Madrid. He's seriously silky on the ball. He's also, must be 6'5", and he looks a little bit special. You want to say these things too soon.
I watched him live against, I did the core-coms when Bournemouth played Spurs at home about 3 weeks ago, and he made a mistake in the first 5 minutes, and I thought, But I tell you what, the way he bounced back, he got a goal as well, and he put in a brilliant performance. He made one error in that game, and it was in the first 5 minutes. So the way he came back from it, he put in such an assured performance. And then he scored again, didn't he, at Old Trafford? So, I've been really, really impressed with him. Really good.
Yeah, scoring goals, defender as well, obviously.
Yeah, no.
Looks a real talent. So that takes us to there's just one other game that obviously we didn't see today, although we've watched the highlights. Palace came from behind to beat Southampton, who I mentioned before have not had a managerial bounce. Palace came from behind with, you seen Ez's goal?
Yeah, great strike.
No, really, not an easy ball to hit.
No.
Brilliant finish from outside the box.
Massive win for them.
They're going well. They're going well.
They're recovered well, haven't they? I mean, they were under the cosh a bit, weren't they, with results? But they've stuck with him, and it looks as if that's been the right decision, because they're much better now. And I always felt that they would get away from the relegation zone because they had too much quality, and that's what's happening now. Yeah.
By contrast, I think it's going to be so difficult for Southampton. Obviously, 2 games now in charge, Ivan Juric, 2 defeats, narrow defeats, which is something. But, it's overall, if you've not got enough quality, it doesn't matter. It's not really necessarily about the coach.
Yeah, I think it's easy to talk about Southampton and say they take too many chances, they try play, and yeah, all those things are right, but they have been in a lot of games. I just think ultimately it comes down to in the final thirds, doesn't it? And I know that's cliche saying that if you don't score, you don't win, but they have done a lot of good things this season. They've been in the last 2 games since the manager came to the club, but they're just, again, I don't know if it's a little bit of confidence. I think the manager's still got a lot of work to do in terms of seeing out games, but yeah, I don't think Southampton are as bad as everyone
No, they've
goes
played
on.
a lot of good football this season.
Correct,
particularly under Russell Martin. But I just want to talk a little bit about that Eze goal, because it was something when I saw it, Micah. Was that a volley or a half volley?
That was a half volley, of course it was.
Oh my word! What
How dare you say that?
What are you talking about, man?
You 2 idiots! Are you taking a mick at me now? Are
No,
you?
that ball bounced in the air and he volleyed it.
It's a volley.
But he didn't hit it on the full. He didn't.
Of course
have
he
you played
hit it on
headers
the
and volleys?
full.
Have you 2 old bastards ever played headers and volleys? So headers and volleys, the ball comes over, someone crosses it in, and if you score a goal without it bouncing, it's a volley. The ball came across, it bounced perfectly into his path. It's
It
a half
bounced up
volley.
in the air, and as it dropped, he hit it.
Exactly. It's a
it's
half
a
volley.
volley.
Equals a volley.
A half volley is when the ball is rising and you hit it just as it leaves the ground. That is a half volley.
Correct.
And that's a half volley in tennis.
But hold on. Are you winding me up here now, aren't you?
No,
we're
I'm
not
not winding
winding
you
you
up.
up.
I knew
We're
when I
trying
saw
to
it.
educate you.
You can't. You got Johnny Boy, H, the younger members of this team.
No, they're with us. They're with.
Yes, Johnny
Harry's
Boy.
not- Harry's
How
not.
can that be a volley?
This is. I mean,
This is ridiculous. Ridiculous.
I'm going to end this
Unbelievable.
podcast before we really fall out. And don't forget, on Wednesday we've got Morgan Rogers, who knows a volley when he sees one, apparently. So tune in for that. But for now, that's it from this week's episode of The Rest is Football. Goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me. Have a great week. I've forgotten what day it is anyway, so I don't know if it's the beginning of the week or the end of the week.
I know.
But anyway, have a
Sunday.
good week.
It's a
Whatever
Lord's
it
Day
is,
today,
whatever
Alan.
it is, as soon as we go off air, I'm going to give you a right volley, Micah. A verbal volley. Goodbye. Good stuff.